Your phone rings, your stomach drops, your heart races, not because it's bad news, but because someone actually called you instead of texting. You stare at it, watching it ring, genuinely considering letting it go to voicemail so they'll just text you what they want. And then comes that familiar guilt. What's wrong with me? Why does a simple phone call feel like being asked to perform surgery? Here's the truth. Nothing's wrong with you. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why your brain is wired this way.
Let's start with something most people don't realize. When you prefer texting over calling, you're not being antisocial. You're operating with a different cognitive processing style. Phone calls demand real-time processing. Someone speaks, you have milliseconds to comprehend, formulate a response, and deliver it with the right tone, all while managing the pressure of dead air, the anxiety of interrupting, and the fear of saying something you'll regret. Texting gives you something rare in modern communication: processing time. You can read a message, sit with it, consider your response, revise it 3 times, and then send exactly what you mean to say. This isn't overthinking, this is thoughtful communication. Research in cognitive psychology shows that some people are reflective processors rather than reflexive responders. Your brain doesn't work slower, it works deeper. You consider nuance, anticipate misunderstandings, and choose words with precision. A phone call forces you to sacrifice depth for speed. Texting lets you communicate at the level you're capable of. And here's what's fascinating. Studies show that people who prefer text communication often score higher in written articulation and emotional clarity. You're not avoiding communication, you're choosing the medium where you communicate best. Phone calls are invasive, and you know it. A call demands immediate attention. It interrupts whatever the other person is doing and essentially says, "Stop your life right now and focus on me." A text? That's asynchronous communication. It respects the other person's time and mental space. They can respond when they're ready, not when you happen to need them. This isn't being distant, this is being considerate. You understand something that constant callers don't. Not every conversation needs to happen right now. Most things can wait. And the things that truly can't wait, those are actual emergencies, and even you will pick up the phone for those. But Susan wanting to tell you about her weekend, that rambling story your mom wants to share that could have been a text, your friend calling just to catch up without warning, these don't require real-time interaction. They're requests for your immediate emotional labor, and you're allowed to not always be available for that. Psychological research on communication preferences reveals something important. People who prefer texting often have stronger personal boundaries. You're not being rude by texting, you're maintaining healthy limits on your time and energy. And in a world that constantly demands your attention, that's not just reasonable, it's necessary. Here's an uncomfortable truth about phone calls. They're performances. You're expected to fill silence, match energy, react in real time, and maintain a certain rhythm. It's exhausting. Phone calls come with invisible scripts, the small talk, the polite laughter, the let me let you go dance at the end when both people want to hang up, but no one wants to be rude. It's social theater, and you're tired of acting. Texting strips away the performance. No need to laugh at jokes that aren't funny. No pressure to fill awkward pauses. No forced enthusiasm when you're tired. You can communicate authentically without managing tone, pace, and emotional display simultaneously. And let's talk about the anxiety of misunderstanding. On a phone call, if you don't catch something, you have to interrupt and ask them to repeat it. That brief moment of "wait, what?" creates social friction. With texting, you can reread something 5 times if you need to. You can fact-check information. You can make sure you actually understand before responding. This isn't about being difficult, it's about valuing substance over style. You'd rather have a clear, thoughtful exchange than a smooth but shallow conversation. The medium matters, and text lets you focus on what's being said rather than how it's being performed.
Phone calls drain you in ways that other people don't seem to understand. It's not just about talking, it's about the sustained attention, the constant engagement, the inability to multitask, and the emotional regulation required to sound present even when you're not. Introverts and highly sensitive people understand this instinctively. Susan Cain's research on introversion reveals that overstimulation doesn't just come from crowds, it comes from any intense, sustained social interaction. A 30-minute phone call can leave you more exhausted than a 2-hour text conversation because of the continuous demand on your nervous system. Texting lets you modulate your energy output. You can respond thoughtfully, then step away. You can be present without being constantly on. You can manage multiple conversations without becoming overwhelmed. It's not about caring less, it's about sustainable communication. And here's what the people who judge you for this don't get. Your energy is finite. Spending it wisely isn't selfish, it's self-preservation. A text conversation might take longer chronologically, but it costs you less psychologically. You're not being difficult, you're being strategic about how you show up for people. Let's talk about something practical that people overlook. Text conversations create documentation. Someone tells you an address, it's saved, makes plans, you have proof, shares important information, you can reference it later. Phone calls rely entirely on memory and goodwill. How many times have you had someone swear they told you something on a call that you have zero